Tonight on the HPT, we're at Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor, where a field of 787 entrants generated a prize pool of over $1.1 million. Going out in ninth place was Denver native and avid fisherman Tori Beating. The good news, short stacked and on the button, Tori wakes up with ace jack. The bad news, he shoves all in and is quickly called by Cord Garcia and his pocket jacks. The flop comes out queen 5-7 with a couple of hearts. Tori needed running hearts or an ace on the Turner River to stay alive, but it wasn't meant to be and he was eliminated, taking home more than $21,000. Tonight's 8th place finisher was another Denver native, 35-year-old Justin Enger. Under the gun and low on chips, Justin went all in with ace-queen. Like deja vu, Cord makes the call with a pocket pair. This time it's kings. The flop comes jack, king, deuce, improving Cord to a set of kings, but also giving Justin 4 to the straight. The turn card was a tray, and the river was an ace, improving Justin's hand, but it wasn't enough. He walked away with just under $27,000. And finally, in 7th place, making his second HPT final table in 3 weeks, was Richmond, Texas native Ed Sebesta. With king-queen in the big, Ed got all his chips in the middle against the ace-king of Dan O'Brien. With an ace on the flop, Ed would need running cards to stay alive. The turn card was the jack of spades. Ed's only hope was a 10 on the river, but it wasn't meant to be. Ed's day was over, but he left with just over $32,000. All right, folks, we've got 6 players remaining and over $600,000 to give away, and it all starts right now on the HPT. How you doing, everybody? It's James Larson alongside Kenneth James, and welcome to the HPT. This week, we're in beautiful Black Hawk, Colorado, here at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor.
Yeah, it's a wonderful venue here. The stage is set. It's one of our biggest tournaments of the year right here at Black Hawk, Colorado.
Kenna, another $1 million prize pool, 787 entries, and now we are down to our final 6, and a few familiar names are mixed into the group.
Yeah, let's look at our competitors tonight. None other than Cord Garcia, who's looking to go back-to-back. He won this event last year. He's our chip leader coming in today. He's going to look to go wire to wire.
What a feat that is for Cord to get back to this final table. But don't count out Dan O'Brien, another up-and-coming superstar in the poker world.
Up-and-coming? I think he's arrived. This guy just wins everything. Super talented final table, even with Andrew Dean there. And we've got, you know, the rest of the competitors. There are no slouches. We got SAAD, we got Zoe, and we got Andrew Dean. Wow, tough competitor.
Well, with that said, let's go ahead and meet our players, and most importantly, take a look at the prize pool.
Up top, nearly $250,000 on down to 6th, $39,103.
Cord Garcia leads the pack right now with 93 big blinds. Dan O'Brien's right behind him, and then Zoe in 3rd. And rounding out the group is Ben Keeline in 6th place with just 12 big blinds, so he'll have to get things going. So, Kenna, it's time to play poker. Look at that crowd. The crowd looks good. The players look good. I'm excited. Let's play some poker.
There's definitely energy in the room. Top line pros here. How about Cord Garcia right here with Big Slick, Ace King? He's going to get things started.
Well, Cord won this thing the last time we were here. Can he go back-to-back? Well, he's good enough. And this guy won the Colossus a few years ago, too. So, yeah, the 27-year-old out of Houston, I think, has got a pretty good shot at repeating. But, hey, 5 other players stand in his way, just like Zoe, who makes the call. And Dan O'Brien, he made this final table. Good to see Dan again at another HPT event. He's got pocket sixes. He's not going anywhere.
No way. These guys are heavy hitters. That means they stick. They don't just fold their equity away. Matter of fact, Dan's got the best hand here as we look at it, and then even Andrew's going to stick here with King 10. So there you have the percentage of equity of each player before the flop. This is exciting. To the flop we go.
4 players. It comes out queen, 5, deuce, couple of spades.
All right, the new equity there along the right side. You see Dan now with 59%. Cord, he's a pre-flop raiser. He's going to c-bet here for $310,000. I don't think this is going to get through. Dan is rightly at least going to call here.
All right, Dan O'Brien reaching for chips, and he is going to make the call. Andrew's going to get out of the way.
Yeah, you just don't win tournaments folding with 79% equity.
All right, turn card now is the 5 of clubs. Dan checks once again over to Cord.
Right, he wants to manage the pot size now and see what Cord does on the turn.
Both players check as we go to the river. Nice size pot there, about 1.5 million. 7 of clubs comes on the river. Dan checks again, as does Cord. And the winner of the first hand is going to be Dan O'Brien, the 32-year-old from Las Vegas, Nevada, professional poker player. Over $3 million in total career winnings. And this guy actually filled in for me on the HPT a few years ago when I was the sideline reporter. We had Dan come out, and he helped us out for an event. And I think the only thing he didn't like about it is he couldn't play the actual event. He had to work. But great to see Dan, and great to see that he made a final table. And good luck to all of the players here tonight on the HPT.
Yeah, he can work it on both sides of the felt, in the booth and on the felt, as we look down here in Zoe. Pocket Kings.
Zoe no slouch to the game of poker, the 30-year-old from Orlando, Florida.
Look at this hand right now. Now Dan O'Brien in position. His opponent's just limped into the pot. He's got queen jack of clubs. This is going to be a standard raise here. Raises to 280, back on Zoe. Now this is what's interesting here, James. Does Zoe spring the trap right now and re-raise, or does he just flat?
And it is a re-raise here. Going to go up to $680,000. And expect Dan here to at least make the call.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be it's a little confusing here to limp raise, but these are high-quality players. They do these kind of creative plays. His hand's too big not to just call and see a flop in position.
And we're heads up. It's 8-4 Trey. Zoe's first to act with the best of it here with his pocket kings.
By far and away the best of it. But now that he's already sprung the trap with the 3-bet pre, the limp and the re-raise, of course he's going to just lead out.
The bet is $560,000.
This is just so much aggression by Zoe. A limp re-raise and then a C-bet. Yeah, Dan rightly finds the muck.
So the first orbit is in the books. 6 players remain here at this nationally televised final table. And when we come back, we'll have more exciting HPT action. Welcome back to Blackhawk, Colorado, here at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. James Larson and Kenneth James, one of my favorite stops on the tour. And this week, the total prize pool was $1,156,890. That's a whole lot of cash, my friend.
Absolutely. Not only one of your favorite stops, a lot of the players' favorite stop, because the prize pools are so big. Yeah. These players playing for $250,000. Very exciting.
787 total entries this week. And don't forget, here at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor, the bar is open 24 hours a day. Just wanted to remind you of that, my friend.
Always important. Can you get food? Can you get drinks? The answer is yes. Action over to Dan O'Brien here. Saw him signing autographs before the final table. Yeah, he's really just stepped up his game, come out. And
he's a star, man.
Dominated.
He's a good player, and it's great to see him here tonight in Blackhawk, Colorado. Now, Andrew, he's got quite the impressive resume as well. Over $3 million in total career winnings for him. So, and his plan is to play more HPTs with the cash. Well, he said WPTs as well, but we're happy he's playing our events too.
They're PTs.
They're all PTs, yeah. King 10-9, couple of clubs.
Well, Andrew flopping top pair here. And you rightly say, as you go through these players and their resumes, we got some heavy hitters on this table. And this is just going to make it really exciting. And it's deep stack poker. This is going to be poker at its finest.
And, you know, here after the event is almost over, as we're down to our final 6, you look out in our studio audience, and it's just packed. It's just awesome out here in Colorado. Always a great vibe. Turn card is the 8 of spades.
Now, Dan bet this flop. So, and now he's picked up the open-ended straight on the turn. I expect Andrew to bet here, not give any free cards to Dan, and sure enough he does. He bets $450,000. Now, one of the reasons that made this a great bluff for Dan on the flop is he's got the blocker with the jack, so it's much more unlikely that his opponent holds jack-queen, which allows him to make this bluff, and now he's just calling for value on the turn.
River card is the jack of spades.
This is a very complicated card because it makes Dan second best, but he beats some hands, like he does beat club draws, but there is no bet. It's check, and it's going to get shown down here, and Andrew's going to take home the pot.
Andrew's going to win the pot of just over 2 million chips. And, you know, when we started this years ago coming to this event, Kenna, you know, it slowly grew. Each and every year we were here, and now it's just turned into this monster of a week that we have out here. And you're right. We see people from all over the country that play this event, and it doesn't look like it has any signs of slowing down.
No, it's definitely growing. And, you know, as that last hand is in the books, one of the things that people don't realize maybe that are watching at home is the players that were in that hand are still replaying it. Like Dan, I'm sure, is thinking, hey, could I have won that pot with my, you know, another bet on the river when he sees his hand, you know, his opponent's hand just had a weak king. So they're replaying it. We're moving on. Cord raises it up with ace queen, making it 800,000 to go.
Action back over to SAAD on the button. He's going to make the call. So heads up, Cord and SAAD. We talked about it at the top of the show. Cord won this thing the last time we were here. The flop is Jack, 10, deuce, couple of diamonds. SAAD gets the best of it, but Cord here with a gutter ball Broadway draw.
Or an ace. An ace would improve him to the best hand. But he puts SAAD to the decision for all his chips. He makes the call. And we're going to run it out and see what happens. Right now, Cord, a 2-to-1 dog. But he's not at risk for his tournament life where SAAD is.
A pot of just over 3.4 million chips here early on in this nationally televised final table. Turn card now is the 9 of diamonds.
That gives Cord now the open-ended straight. To the river we go.
Cord asking for an 8. We go to the river. It's the 7 of hearts. So SAAD is going to win that. A little fist pump there as he's sitting right back down with 3.4 and change to continue his quest to be our next HPT champion. So many years I've been coming out here with the gang in Colorado, and just want to thank the entire staff here at Golden Gates for having us back year after year. I know for these guys, it's a whole lot of work to accommodate this many players, you know, for the last 10 days that we've been here. But man, we've had a lot of fun. We've played a lot of poker, and we've seen a lot of action.
To give people at home an idea, those white chips are worth $100K a piece. The green, $25K a piece, and the red are $5,000.
So Andrew's going to raise all in. Benjamin quickly makes the call, and that'll put Benjamin all in for his tournament life, as Andrew will still have chips left.
But Benjamin, a significant favorite as we go to the flop.
And the flop is 10-8-4. So Ben's still in the lead with his ace-queen, trying to double up.
Andrew looking for a jack or a 3.
Turn card is the 6 of spades.
How about Benjamin's look?
I like it.
Yeah, he's...
I like the shades.
Cool,
I like the beard, the hair. King of hearts comes on the river, so Ben is going to win the hand. He'll double up at the expense there of our friend Andrew Dean.
Yeah, he's kind of got that that look of, what's his name from The Gladiator? That movie, The Gladiator?
Are you talking about Benjamin here?
Yeah.
Because I think he kind of looks like the guy from The Hangover, parts 1, 2, and 3.
That too.
Zoe's going to fold his hand over to Dan O'Brien.
River Phoenix. Remember when River Phoenix?
Yes, yeah. Or almost a little bit like Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix. I think that's what it is. We finally got it.
Oh, my God. I got there. I got there on the river.
All right, Dan is going to raise to $250,000 here with his ace-king. And now over to Ben on the button.
He's got pocket nines. This is probably going to get shipped all in. It sure is.
Yeah, we're going to ship it all in, and hopefully he has a better performance than he did on David Letterman a few years ago.
Good point. Good point. Hey, a nice fold by SAAD with the pocket 8s into the muck, and this is going to get called, so we're going to be in a coin flip.
Ace-king going up against the 9s. We go to the flop. And it comes out king,
Look at
8,
that.
Trey, and that is the beauty of having 2 overcards. Just like that, Dan goes in the lead.
Yeah, and SAAD would have had a set here. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. He made the right play in the time that he did, though. And Benjamin is going to need a 9 on the river, or he will be out in 6th place.
And we go to that river card, and it's the 5 of clubs. So that is going to do it for Ben Keeline, the 30-year-old from Westminster, Colorado. But it's a nice little payday, $39,103, and I'm sure we'll see him again on the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT. I'm James Larson alongside Kenneth James, having a good time here. Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor in Black Hawk, Colorado. I gotta say, this is a fun night.
We're down to 5.
Down to 5, and I think it's anybody's game. I mean, you look at who's left at this table. I don't care about chip counts necessarily. Any of these 5 players can win this thing.
Well, you might not care about it, but I promise you the players do. And also they care about their position, their hands. Here we got Zoe raising it up and Dan O'Brien calling with the ace-jack. Andrew. You know, it's interesting. These are great players. They're going to find themselves in tight spots, you know. It's just not like raise and take it.
Right.
You're going to find that these players are going to battle and, like I say, fight for their equity in the hand.
All right, well, 3 players now to the flop, and it comes out 2 8s and a 4, a couple of spades.
Oh, my, look at Andrew flopping trip 8s on the final table.
Zoe's going to check his 2 pair. Now over to Dan with just ace high here with the 2 8s on the board.
Now, Dan might elect to bet here just because there's not a lot of great value in his hand in this particular spot. So he wants to kind of get definition early in this hand.
The bet is $300,000. And now over to Andrew Dean,
who would be well off to just call here, and he does.
I'm folding, so it's okay.
Zoe says, I'm folding. It's okay. No worries. That's why we have erasers on our pencils. Some of the best dealers in the country are out here this week.
I can tell you play golf with erasers on the pencils, my friend.
10 of spades there on the turn.
Interesting card, because now this even brings Dan into the hand even more with the nut flush draw. So he could continue. He could check. Which line is he going to take? He's going to stick with his line, his aggressive line, and just continue to bet here.
He's going to bet $475,000.
Interesting.
So now what's Andrew thinking right now?
Well, he's thinking, you know, it's so rare to flop trips, 5-handed. I want to maximize my value. He's also thinking, hey, my opponent's hand is probably polarized. Either he's got the flush or he's bluffing. So I want to make the most of my hand, and I also want to manage the pot.
6 of hearts comes on the river. Dan's going to check, and we'll see if Andrew does the same.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Do I go for value here, or do I check it back for protection? He goes for value.
He's going to go all in, and that's a nice-sized pot there for Andrew.
Yeah, really, really well-played hand, I think, by both players.
You can see some of his supporters there in the front row. Great to have you with us here on the HPT. I'm James Larson alongside Ken and James. If you want to join us sometime at an event, check out hptpoker.com, and who knows, maybe you'll be playing for the Unreal Cash. Cord Garcia's got the earpiece in now. It looks like he's down there as one of our reporters. Cord, can you hear me? He folds his hand. Now Zoe looks down at Queen Jack of clubs.
Now, last time, Zoe, remember, he limped in the small blind when it came to, and then Dan raised and he re-raised. He could do the same thing here, but he wouldn't like it.
Dan picking up another big hand here, ace-king.
And he's going to remember that back raise, so I expect him here to probably put in another $200,000 into the spot.
He's going to raise, going to go up to $350,000. Now, Zoe's been pretty quiet so far. He's a little more animated, more of one of the animated players, likes to joke around, likes to have fun. But today here on national TV, you know, he's just feeling out the other players right now, I think.
And it's the gravity of the situation, right? I mean, you're playing against really top-level competition. You got $250,000 on the line. You've got top pair, and you're against Dan O'Brien. So there's a lot going on here.
Tough to get a read on Dan. It's a real tough to get. Have you played against him before?
Yeah, I have. He really is just steady, solid. Look at his patience. He's just you know, it's no secret that he's a top-level player.
The king of clubs there on the turn puts Dan in the lead now, and he's going to go ahead and bet 400,000. And Zoe's thinking, all right, I've got a queen here.
Well, he's really lamenting checking this flop, I'm sure.
And Zoe is going to make the call. He wants to see one more street. So we go to the river. And the river card is the 6 of clubs, so meaningless 6 of clubs on the river. Zoe's going to check over to Dan.
Now, if you notice, Dan has not only got table position on Zoe, but he's got line of sight. If you notice, he can look right at Zoe, where Zoe has got to kind of turn around. And that perceptual positioning you see there, look at that look. It really does make a difference.
Fold.
You can pick up these small indicators and physical tells to, you know, get an indication of the strength of your opponent's hand and their reactions to certain cards.
Zoe is going to fold. Dan's going to win the pot. He wanted to give a shout-out to Mo, Jerry, Ivan, and Nate, his Railbirds in the studio audience.
Yeah, those like the 2 and the 8 seats, like where SAAD is sitting and Dan, those are known as the power seats for that reason. Players like to sit there because it gives them that added visual advantage.
Cord's going to raise it up, and now Zoe with the 3-bet shove here. He's all in with his ace-queen.
Out of the 1 seat. He was hoping.
And finally, a bad hand for Dan O'Brien. He looks down at 4 deuce. And now over to SAAD. Pocket 5s for him, the old Sammy Hagar.
He's actually got the best hand right now, but he's going to find the muck because he realizes if Zoe gets knocked out here, he jumps up $19,000 in the payday.
$19,000. Not $9,000, $19,000. And Cord is going to make the call, and Zoe sees the bad news.
The bad news, he's a 3-to-1 dog as we go to the flop, James.
Ace-king versus ace-queen. The flop comes out Jack 6 tray. Cord's still in the lead. You look at the percentages there, 82-16.
Zoe needing to strike lightning in the bottle as it's not there on the turn. He's got 1 card to come. A queen and a queen only.
We go to that river card. And the river card is the 7 of spades, so that's going to do it for Zoe. He's been eliminated in 5th place, but hey, how many times can you get eliminated in 5th and take home almost $51,000? Well, that's what happens out here in Black Hawk, Colorado at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. You're watching exclusive final table coverage here of the HPT at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. James Larson alongside Ken and James. 4 players remain, and I'm jealous, man. First place money, almost $250,000.
Yeah, you see, look, did you see Kenny Lambert in the audience
I saw him eating an ice cream cone earlier.
He's our director of operations here.
Always good to see Ken with us, and always fun to have him on the road. Ken's a true gentleman, and it's a treat to work with him here on the HPT. Fold it around to Dan. He's going to win that pot. But, yeah, I wish I was down there playing. There's a lot of money, but I'm going to tell you this right now. With your money, I wouldn't step foot near these sharks because these 4 players, they'll chew you up.
It's Jaws all over again. Doo-doo.
And you think about it. How many times can you get, well, 4th place and go home with $70,000? Here on the HPT, that's where it happens. Pocket 7s now, and a quick all-in for SAAD. Slamming those chips down.
Well, he is short. He is the minnow amongst the whale sharks.
And now over to Dan. Looks down at 1 ace, and for good measure, how about 2 aces?
Oh man!
And it looks like SAAD has just ran directly into the buzzsaw.
Yes. And Dan looking to chop up some more wood. That's why he's taking his time to try and get a player in behind him, Andrew, into this pot as well, but he's not going to go for it.
Not good news for SAAD. He waited around for that hand, for a good hand like pocket 7s, but again.
Yeah, but he waited around also to chip up, and, you know, he's guaranteed himself at least $69,000.
Flop is ace, queen, 4, just a couple of spades there for SAAD.
Wow, running spades or running 7s, not a great position for him to be in, so he gets up out of his chair.
Yeah, that's going to do it right there. The 10 of diamonds. SAAD will be eliminated, going home with 6. Oh, and then the 7 of clubs comes on the end.
A meaningless 7.
Oh, man, $69,760 for SAAD. Hey, that will help. That will help remedy the situation a little bit. A nice little payday for SAAD going out in 4th place. So, Kenna, 3 players remain. Do I dare ask you, if you had to pick a winner right now, if you had to pick a horse, who would it be?
Wow. You know, it's no shock that it's come down to these 3 players, I'll tell you that. You know, I'm just going to go with Dan. I'm going to go with Dan O'Brien. That's not to take anything away from these other 2 great players, but he just has the chip lead, and he has experience, and that's why I'm going with him.
Andrew raises to $450,000. Now over to Cord. He's going to throw away the 10 deuce. So Andrew, that's going to be my pick. I think Andrew's going to wrap this thing up. I think this is his day. I think he's going to take this thing down. So I guess neither of us have picked Cord Garcia, who won this thing last time we were here.
I know. Cord is no slouch, obviously. I mean, but that's what we're here for. We're here to play it out and see how it all turns out.
We've had a lot of fun this week, I'll tell you that much for sure. And it all ends right here tonight on national television as Andrew raises it up to $225,000. Now over to Cord with a pretty nice hand here, 3-handed. King, queen of clubs.
Yeah, now this is one of those situations where you could 3-bet or just flat. Cord, I like he's going to take the aggressive line and 3-bet. He's going to put Andrew to a decision. The tough part about this is when your opponent comes back over the top, you know, and puts you at a big decision when you only got king high. But he just calls, and we're going to see a flop.
King, queen, king, 7. The flop is 9-8-5, couple of clubs.
Yeah, Cord's going to love this. I mean, when you only have king high and but you have the backup to the second nut flush, you got to love it. I expect he's checking, trying to get a free card. If his opponent bets, I expect him to raise.
And Andrew is going to bet $450,000 with just king high and his gutter draw.
I'd like to see Cord maybe make this around 1.5.
Well, he's going to go all in. It's easier math, my friends. All in.
Yeah.
And now Andrew, there's no way he can make this call.
Let's gamble.
Let's gamble, he
no
says.
way. He must have heard
He
you,
says,
James.
let's
He says,
gamble.
Hey, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to get my chips in there.
Let's gamble, he says.
Well, your
Wow.
guy likes to gamble.
Turn card is the 8 of spades, but my guy could be eliminated right here for gambling.
A $10 million pot. He might be eliminated for gambling. To the river we go.
And the river card is the ace of hearts, and that is going to do it. Andrew gambled up, and he's going home in 3rd place, almost $101,000. What an amazing hand. And when we come back, we are down to our final 2 players. Heads Up Poker is coming up next. Welcome back to the HPT. It's James and Kenna here in Black Hawk, Colorado at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. We started with 787 entries, and now we are down to our final 2.
These 2 are going to duel it out. I got to be honest. We anticipated these 2. They started 1 and 2 in chips. Here we are, heads up. They're 1 and 2 in chips. These are 2 of the best players around. Make no mistake about it. This is going to be a fun duel to take a seat and watch.
Let's get back to the final table action.
Well, this is really going to be exciting to see how this plays out with both these players being very deep stacked. You can see the white chips. Remember, those are 100K apiece, green 25K, red 5K. Dan O'Brien on the button is going to get us going and open things up.
A couple of superstars on the tour, on all the tours. These 2 guys going to battle it out to find out who's going to be our newest HPT champion. 248,732. That's the white meat up on top. Let's go to the flop. And that flop is ace, jack, 9. It's a couple of hearts.
And here, Daniel opened up with a raise on the button, Cord defending from the big blind. Because these guys are so deep stacked, I expect this to be a marathon heads-up match.
Turn card is the 6 of hearts. So Daniel pairs his 6. Another heart comes on the board for Cord. And now we go to the river. It's the 9 of diamonds.
And you can see both players playing cautiously, keeping the pot small, even though each one has a pair. Interesting play here now by Dan, raising Cord's river bet, trying to rep the 9 here. But I don't think it's going to get through because Cord has got too much with a pair of aces.
Cord's going to win the hand and take down the first pot of the night. It's fun to watch a couple of players like this. They're playing for all this cash, and you'd have no idea they were. They're relaxed. They're laid back. They're smiling. They're having fun.
Yeah, they're chatting it up. You know, interesting that Dan decided to make a marginal bluff there, meaning, you know, he had enough to show down, but he elected to go ahead and make a raise on that river to try to get a better marginal hand to fold.
Cord's going to raise it up to $350,000 with his pocket tens, and Dan's cards go in the muck, so Cord wins hand number 2.
Yeah, you're going to see these players open up with a raise on the button pretty much every hand, and you're also going to be seeing a lot of defends from the blind. They're not, again, these players are not here. They didn't get here by just throwing their equity away. Matter of fact, when we started this final table, these two were 1 and 2 in chips. We get to heads up, they're still 1 and 2 in chips.
Dan's going to raise it up to $250,000 with his queen 7 action over to Cord. Cord's going to make the call, and if you're just joining us, we're here at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor here in Black Hawk, Colorado. James Larson and Kenny James. The flop is King 6-5, couple of clubs.
Yeah, and as predicted, button raise, blind defend.
Cord checks over to Dan. Dan puts out a bet of 175,000 chips.
And Cord will definitely defend here. He's just determining whether to flat or to raise. A lot of times in situations like this, you have too much to raise, so you call for value with your pair. But the board now is getting a little bit more wet here.
Turn card is the 4 of clubs, so now Dan has an open-ended straight draw.
As well as the queen high flush draw, so his hand really got strong now, and now he's going to put the heat on with a, you know, a follow-up bet on the turn.
It's a bet of 500,000 chips. Action over to Cord.
See, this is where if Cord had check raised the flop, he could have done a lot more repping, but now he's really kind of in a bad spot, so he has to just give it up on that turn card.
Cord folds, and Dan wins that pot. If you want to join us here on the HPT, it's a lot of fun, obviously, and you can play for cash like this. These guys are going to split up $400,000 here by the end of the show, but join us. Just head on over to hptpoker.com. Who knows? Maybe you'll be playing under the lights and the cameras for all that cash. Pocket queens now for Dan.
It's so nice to get these big pairs, especially heads up. And he, you know, we started this heads up, as we said, Dan with about 83 big blinds, Cord with 114. So both players very deep stack, but when you're behind, you need a little catching up to do. Nothing like getting 2 queens, but not when your opponent flops a flush.
Wow, ace, 9, deuce, they're all spades. Cord flops a flush. But you see, Daniel does have the queen of spades. He's going to bet 200,000. Cord raises now to 500,000.
Yeah, and I expect Dan to just call here and not let this pot get out of control. When you're in position, you want to lengthen the hand and not let and manage the pot size more than when you're out of position.
Turn card is the 8 of clubs.
I expect about $1 million, maybe $1.1 million on bet on this, and actually it's a little lighter, 800,000 bet by Cord, perhaps showing a little concern.
Dan makes the call.
I think more seeking value from a hand just like Dan has.
And now we go to the river, the 7 of spades, so everything changes there. Now Daniel with the check mark as he makes a higher flush.
Cord checks. And now that hand that Dan bluffed earlier and Cord called him really is going to work to his advantage and might get him paid off here.
Dan bets 1.5 million.
And sure enough,
Cord's going to make the call, and he's going to see the bad news here. So heads up here in the mountains of Black Hawk, Colorado. Who will be our next HPT champion? Will it be Dan? Will it be Cord? Don't go too far. Plenty of action coming up after this break. We started with 787 entries here at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor, and now we are down to our final two.
Yeah, and looking at the big blinds, Dan with 82, Cord with 66 big blinds in that key hand where Cord had flopped a flush and Dan rivered a higher flush.
It's James Larson alongside my broadcast partner, Kenneth James. What a week it has been here in Black Hawk, Colorado.
And the action now, Cord raising on the button with Queen 3 makes it 420,000 to go, and Dan defending with Queen 8 suited.
All right, we go to the flop, and it's 6-5-4, couple of clubs.
Well, this is a great flop for Cord. He has initiative, he has the lead in this hand, and he's flopped an open-ended straight.
All right, we'll start with Daniel. Daniel's going to bet 600,000.
Interesting play by Dan, putting it right on his opponent.
Cord is going to make the call. Talked about this earlier in the show. He won this thing last year, trying to repeat as a champion here in Blackhawk. 9 of clubs on the turn.
Yeah, now this gives Cord, he picks up the flush draw as well. It would be nice to see him take over the lead here instead of checking back, but he elects to check.
A pot of just over 2 million chips. We go to the river, and yes, there is the club. It's the deuce of clubs, so Cord makes his flush.
Yeah, now this time, Cord rivers the queen high flush. Very interesting. Not going to get any value here. Dan doesn't have enough to pay off. But he's going to seek value for 900,000,
and Dan is going to fold, so Cord's going to win that hand. Saw some shots there in our studio audience. Good to see Mike Puccio here. He was our champion in the East Chicago event a few years ago. Came out and played this event, as did Stan. There's Mike with the glasses on and the hat. Good to see old Mikey here at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor.
Yeah, so these two guys just going out and battling it up. Once again, you'll see every time the button is there, they're entering with a raise and putting their opponent, who's out of position, to a tough decision.
Cord raises to 500,000. Dan makes the call.
Is it just me, or does it seem like these guys are getting Queen X?
Yeah, a lot of queens. Yeah, I've seen a lot of
queens in the deck.
Queens, yeah. Flop is King, Jack, Deuce. They're all hearts. Neither player, as you can see, has a heart in their hand. Dan's going to check over to Cord.
Very interesting, very wet flop. Cord's going to c-bet and just take it down right there. I like it.
So I mentioned Cord winning this thing last year. Isn't it crazy that he's back here about to do it again?
Crazy.
I mean, he's got one opponent in front of him to repeat as our champion here at one of our biggest events that we do every year.
It's fantastic performance.
All right, action on Dan. He looks down at Ace-King.
Yeah, Dan is a formidable opponent. He's just always attacking. And here he has not only the initiative position, and he has the hand to do it. Cord defending really wide here with 8-4.
Cord makes the call. We go to the flop. And the flop is King 10-4, so a little bit of something for everybody there. Dan gets the best of it. Pairing is King.
So much of poker is, you know, how well you flop in connecting to the board, and that's why a lot of players know this and will defend really wide. I just think that defending, you know, this wide, you can get in a lot of trouble, and that's what's happening here with Cord.
350 and a call. We go to the turn card. It's the Queen of Diamonds.
When you do decide to defend wide as a player, you got to have a lot of creativity and be able to check raise in spots like this and do kind of a lot of interesting things. But when you're playing against a player like Dan, he's just not going to let the pot get away from him. He's going to manage the pot size, which is what he's done here really well. But I suspect he's going to go for some value here from other two-pair hands.
The bet is 500,000.
Just want the button when we come back.
All right, so Cord's going to fold. Dan's going to win the pot. I wanted to ask you, Kenna, with money like this, first and second the way it is, obviously deals happen all the time.
Right.
Now, I don't know if a deal was made. Nobody told me if a deal was made, but typically how does a deal work in a situation like this?
Well, it really depends on your chip count. It depends on your view of your opponent and how close you think you are, if you're going to give up any edge or not. But regardless of any deal that's made, usually you're always playing for still a significant amount of cash, plus the title, you know, plus the bracelet. So there's always a lot on the line, even if you've made a financial deal to reduce it. Let's say 50,000. You know, we don't know what these players have discussed during the break, but I promise you, there's still plenty on the line to play for, as well as the pride.
As we go to the flop, it's king, queen, 10, couple of hearts. And, you know, obviously, whether it's 2 players or 10 players that are left, everybody has to agree on it.
That's right.
So maybe you, in your mind, have an idea of what the perfect deal is, but your opponent or the other people at the table have to agree with that.
So it's another game within the game, the competitive game of deal making. And, you know, I have a feeling that these players, you know, tend not to make too many deals because they just have such strong belief in themselves and their skill level and their talent to take it all the way home.
So to catch up on the action here, Dan raises it up, and that is going to be enough for Cord to fold his hands as he grabs a stack of cash there from the middle. All right, well, heads up action will continue. We'll step aside for a quick commercial break. You're watching the HPT. Welcome back to the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor here in Black Hawk, Colorado. James Larson, Kenneth James. We left with 2, and we still have 2. We're playing heads up for the title. First place money of $248,732.
These 2 players dueling it out. And here, Cord, a beautiful hand with ace-queen. Oh, my goodness. Look at this. We are going to see some fireworks. He raises it on the button, but Dan peeks down at the pocket kings. Wow.
Ace, queen, pocket kings. Here comes the raise, the re-raise, and I suspect we might have another raise here.
Not sure. I think so, only because, yeah, Dan has been playing so aggressive. This is going to be an all-in and a call.
All in and a snappy here. Ace, queen, pocket kings. Cord all in for his tournament life here. We could have our new HPT champion after this hand. The flop is 9-7 tray, couple of spades.
Cord 12% to pull off in ace or running queens.
Turn card is the 10 of clubs. Dan O'Brien, 1 card away from being our next HPT champion. All the chips in the middle. Let's go to that river card. It's the ace of spades. The ace of spades.
The ace from space. Not the high fives, the side fives. High fives are just a little bit over the top these days. You got to have the side fives.
Listen, I'm stunned, man. The ace of spades on the river. You could maybe call it a $100,000 card there.
What a hand. I mean, and now you see Dan just crippled. He moves all in.
All in with 8-4. Cord's got king 9, 2 overs, and just like that,
he's going to feel like he stole this one away.
Spade, 4 heart river.
For sure.
Cord Garcia.
Is that reigning champion luck coming into play?
Pair of 6s here and a 7, 2 clubs.
Yes or no?
Dan looking for a 5, an 8, a 4, a friend.
Oh,
there it is.
Okay.
8 of spades.
All right.
On the turn.
Dan not wanting to go into the night quietly. He's just such a hill to climb, though.
So now we go to the river card, and it's the 9 of hearts.
There it is.
And that, my friends, is going to do it. Cord makes 2 pair on the river, and he repeats as an HPT champion here in Black Hawk, Colorado, going home with the cash and the title. Dan O'Brien, 2nd place. What's going through his mind?
What a great question, James. As far as what's going through his mind, you've got to be mentally tough to play this game. The ups and downs, and I think Dan understands that as bad as you want to win and compete, sometimes the cards have other plans.
Well, another 6-figure payday, though, for Dan O'Brien, and let's see what he has to say. He's tableside.
My decisions were pretty easy.
I just either had really good hands or really bad ones. I didn't really have that many close spots. I think I've made pretty good decisions in the spots that I had. And yeah, I mean, it felt good to run well. And it was a little disappointing to lose there at the end, but there's really not much you could do either way.
Thanks so much, guys. Once again, congratulations to Dan O'Brien going out in second place. But our star tonight is Cord Garcia.
How do you do that? Congratulations to Cord going back-to-back.
That's amazing. He played well, he ran well, and now he's with Jeremy Smith at the final table.
That was a big hand there at the end where you had ace-queen against the pocket kings. 3-outer, tell me about that hand.
I mean, we're just always getting that hand in. The board ran out super sick. I flopped no equity, turned no equity, and just rivered an ace. So that was pretty unreal. Yeah, it was crazy.
Once again, congratulations to Cord Garcia for the second time in a row here in Black Hawk, Colorado. He's going home with the cash and the title.
Yeah, congratulations to all our final table participants and all the players that came out to this great event.
Yes, 787 entries, another $1 million prize pool. It's always great to be back here at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. Now, if you think you have what it takes to play right here on the national stage, why not give it a shot? Just log on to hptpoker.com, and who knows, maybe you'll be playing for the unreal cash. For Kenneth James, I'm James Larson, and we'll see you next time right here on the HPT.